I got enemies, got a lot of enemies, and they still out to get me 'cause they never got me. Throw a thick bitch on the Kawasaki. What's up, my dudes? You got dudes out here making full reviews of this game 1 or 2 days after it comes out. Oh, it just cracks me up, man. Like, do not honestly act like you can give a full review of a game in 2 days. You just can't do that. I don't care if you played the game every single second of both of those days, you cannot review a video game in full in that amount of time. You just can't do it. And for whatever reason, a lot of people seem to selectively erase from their mind that my first video that I made on the first day was just a first impressions video. It wasn't no damn full review. God, and all these people out here keep telling me, hey, Spencer, I thought you said you hated this game. Why are you making so many videos on this game, man? I thought you said that it was just going to be the most terrible game of all time, and I thought you told everyone not to buy the game. What the fuck? Where is that shit coming from? I never said any of that. Going back to my original motherfucking point of everything I said at my first rant video, people blow it way out of proportion with this game. If you say one little thing negative about the game, you might as well just forget about the truth getting out there because people's just going to blow it out of proportion. That's all there is to it, man. Like, you can say, well, I don't really think the physics are going to be all that great. And then people say, why do you hate this game, man? Why don't you want anyone to love this game? What the fuck, man? Do you just want all arcade games to fail? Man, you must not even like video games on motocross, man. What the hell's going on? It's like, God, man. People are so stupid. That just shows you how the YouTube internet world really is. They're just ignorant. You cannot trust a single fucking thing you see out there. You can't. When it comes to comments and all of that, don't trust a lick of what any of these people are saying, man. You got to see it face to face, straight up, exactly what that person is saying. Come get it from the source. Fuck all that word of mouth. You know what I'm saying, dog? Like, for real, people are so stupid. I never once said that you couldn't have fun with this game, or that you should just hate this game, or you should just never support this game, or whatever. And I never even said I hated this game. I don't know where the hell people are getting that. I just disagreed with some things that I was seeing about the game, and I just thought that some parts of the game weren't going to be as good as some people were thinking. That's all there was to it, man. I never said I wasn't going to make videos on this game. I never said, I wasn't going to have somewhat of fun with certain aspects of the game. Never ever said that. I just said it wasn't going to be on the level and the longevity of like a Reflex or an MX Simulator. That's all I ever said. You've got two types of people in this world, okay? You've got real people and you've got fake people. And there is no in between, dog. And it's not to say that those quote unquote fake people are just lying to you straight up. It's the fact that they may not necessarily be telling you the full extent of their opinion in fear of backlash. So they might say that, well, this is pretty cool about the game, and I like this about the game, and that's awesome, and this is awesome. But meanwhile, they're actually not telling you these other things like, well, I don't necessarily think that was a good thing to implement into the game, or I don't really think that's as good as it could be, or I wasn't a big fan of this other aspect over here. They're not going to tell you that because they don't want that backlash. You understand what I'm saying? They're too scared of that backlash. They're going to tell you their full extent of their opinion all the way up until the point to where it could potentially cause them backlash. And those sort of people out there, they're fake as fuck in my opinion, because they're not even telling you what they actually think about something. They're just telling you the positive things they think about something. And I'm telling you, it is so much more common than you would think out there, especially on YouTube. If you go out there and see a review of this game and literally every single thing that person is saying is positive, I'm telling you, it's a load of horseshit. That's just not the truth of the game. Every single aspect of this game is not positive. That's not what it is, but that's not saying that I just hate the game. You understand what I'm saying? And even though I've always been just more neutral on the game, I thought it was going to be just an average arcade motocross game. From day one, I've been painted as this official Monster Energy Supercross game hater, and that I don't want it to succeed, and then I hate every single aspect of it. And I mean, you people out there that are doing that dumb shit, like, karma catches up to you, dog. You know what you're doing. The real people see through that, okay? Now, you might get some stragglers out there that don't know what the fuck's going on over here on my channel, and they see your stupid comment here and there and think, oh, why does Spencer hate this game? But meanwhile, the people that actually watch the videos understand it's just constructive criticism of the game, and it's actually not just blind hating whatsoever. It's talking about positive things and negative things about the game. But either way, I'm just glad I don't have to explain this to most of you guys out there that don't have a brain the size of a peanut. You actually realize how people are just ignorant in this world and there's nothing else you can do about it. That's just the way it is. You know, people blow things out of proportion to try to get their opinion across, and they try to, you know, switch and sway and twist people's words around and then make this guy look like a bad guy and then do this over here. That's what the world is. That's how crazy humans are. Like, the truth is, like, not even there whatsoever. That's why I push so motherfucking hard to be 1,000% truthful with every single thing I say and every single thing I do. It's not like this some kind of just hater aspect or some kind of going off of a whim. Like, this shit, I believe it 100%, or I wouldn't even be saying it, dude. So you just got to be careful on the things that you see out there, because it's just, you can have one person that tries to type something clever in a comment, and the comment gets a couple likes, but meanwhile the video's got over 100 likes. So it's just, you know, that's the way it goes. So is the game worth $60? That's a big question, a big debate, and I think it just all depends on what kind of gamer are you. You know, what kind of motocross fan are you? There's so many different layers and facets to it that it's just some people that only play arcade motocross games, and that's all they ever do, and they don't really care much about the Reflex PC version. They only play on consoles. I mean, hell, this game may be worth $60 to that kind of person. You know what I'm saying? But if you're one of those kind of people where all you have is $60 to spend on motocross video games, and you're sitting there between, let's just say you don't even have MX Simulator yet, or you don't have the PC version of Reflex, and you only have $60 to spend on actual motocross video games, then honestly, I would recommend buying MX Simulator. What is it, like $30, 30 or $40? It's not AAA priced, and go buy the PC version of Reflex. I think you could buy both of those games for the amount that it would cost you buying this $60 game right here, I'm pretty sure. So that's just what I would recommend for the amount of custom tracks and the content and the replayability and the skill gap to both of those games. If that's what you were, a person that didn't have a whole lot of money, then that's what I would buy instead of this game. But if you're somebody that already has both of those games and you just love motocross games, it may be worth $60 to you. I'm such a hardcore-ass motocross, not only just motocross fan, but motocross video game fan, that I just buy all the shit anyways, because that's just how much of a hardcore fan I am. I can disagree with every single aspect of it, but I just buy it to see how it is, you know, just because I play so much motocross video games that it's just become like that's my world now, you know. Now, I have spoken on if they do come out with a AMA national game later on in the year or something like that, and it's $60 as well, that is where I will draw the fucking line. Like, that's some horse shit. That's where I will not buy into that. And I feel like this game suffers from a lot of the same things that Call of Duty World War II suffered from, in the sense of how people overhyped it and just kind of like overloved it for the wrong reasons. I feel like it just like, for instance, there's been over the past 5 years, there's been absolute shit when it comes to both of these genres of games. Motocross games and Call of Duties out there. It's just been terrible games for the past 5 years in both genres. So anything is good at this point. You understand what I'm saying? I think that's one of the biggest aspects that kind of makes this whole thing tricky, is because we just haven't had good games in so long. So you're comparing this stuff to absolute shit. So anything is going to be good at this point. I mean, that is an honest opinion about not only Call of Duty World War II, but also this official Monster Energy Supercross game. Like, for instance, in Call of Duty, what have we had for the past 4 or 5 years? Fucking space balls, lasers, jetpacks, crap that is just like so terrible. So when they announced that there's finally going to be back on boots on the ground, back on World War II style game, everyone's going to lose their shit over it. No matter what the actual gameplay is like, no matter what the actual game itself is like, it doesn't matter. It's going to get that motherfucking hype train because the games have been terrible for so many years. And, I mean, it's not about the maps or the gameplay or anything. People are going to have a certain level of love for it, especially at the beginning of the game coming out, just for what it is. Not even what the game actually is gameplay sense-wise, but just for what the game is, the concept and everything around it. And I feel like that's a little bit of what has gotten this official Monster Energy Supercross game as well. Because what have we gotten for the past 4 or 5 years? Supercross, MX vs. ADV Supercross, MX vs. ADV Supercross Encore, MXGP3. I mean, and those games have been not all that impressive, man. To be completely honest, when you compare those back to like Reflex or Untamed or Unleashed, they don't hold a light to those games, man. Not even close. I mean, it's been subpar, like not very good games for a long time. So anything is good, man. Anything is good at this point. And now that we have this official Monster Energy Supercross game, it's going to have that same hype and that same extreme level excitement, because we haven't had one of these since 2000 and whatever, 2001 or whenever that last official Supercross game came out. So just that alone is boosting this game's levels in that sense. But when it comes to like your people that only play arcade motocross games, right? That's all they play, arcade motocross games, and that's about it. I mean, what else are they gonna do? Go back and play custom tracks on Reflex that they've already spent 10,000 hours on? Or go back and play the 5 tracks that are on MXGP3? Like, no, they're going to play the official Monster Energy Supercross game. You understand what I'm saying? That's just the nature of when you have a lot of shitty games in a row and just not a whole lot of games in these certain genres. You understand what I'm saying? It's just, that's kind of what it comes down to at the end of the day there. But it just all comes down to what kind of motocross gaming fan are you? Are you somebody that just rides a dirt bike in real life and don't really care about the games too much, so you just want to hop in here and experience something that's like the official Monster Energy Supercross game? If that's worth $60 to you, then I understand that. I do. But when it comes to like the sheer content you're getting, the skill gap you're getting, the types of tracks you're getting, all of that kind of stuff, for me personally, it's more like a $30 game for what it is. Now, if it had the whole Nationals outdoor side to it, yeah, $60 would be straight up balling on it, in my opinion. But as of right now, that's not exactly the case for me personally. If you think differently, that's cool, dude. There ain't no problem with that. You can think differently from me. I mean, that's why we're two different people. People get so ass hurt over, someone's differing opinion, and it's like, dog, like, it's just a differing opinion. But either way, so my opinion still holds exactly how it was before the game came out. I mean, is the game fun? Yeah, it's fun. Sure. I mean, it's a fun game, but it's just, it's not that longevity aspect and that skill gap aspect that you would find in some of these other motocross games. Like, for instance, let me just put it to you this way, okay? You've got your, the past bunch of Call of Duties that's been coming out. It's been, Advanced Warfare, what was that one? That really shitty one that came out? Infinite Warfare. And then you had Black Ops 3, which had like boosters and shit on it. So you had all those games coming out. So like, you may not even know what a good Call of Duty game is if you've just gotten into Call of Duties within the past 4 or 5 years. You understand what I'm saying? You know, you could have like not even realized what was good, so you think that this Call of Duty World War II game is good, but you don't even know what a good Call of Duty is. You don't have a clue what a damn World at War was, or the Modern Warfare original was. You just don't have a clue how good those games were. And I feel like it's built up such a gap in time that it's like you forget to even compare it to those games because there's been so many shitty games in between. And it's the same way with motocross games. It's been so long since Reflex came out, or Unleashed, or Untamed, that, you know, it's almost like you can't even really compare it to those anymore because it's just been so long since we've had those games. So even though this game to me doesn't stack up to those old school games whatsoever, I mean, to some people it may seem pretty good when you compare it to like MX vs. ATV Supercross and Encore and MXGP3. You know, this game may seem pretty good when you compare it to that, but when you look at the broad, full scale of all motocross games, it's just not on that insanity level. Like I was trying to explain to some people beforehand, you know, the title of the game and just what it is, and the hype that had kind of built up around it. It was just so... The hype was acting as if it was like a Reflex 2, or if it was like an Unleashed 2, or you know what I mean? That's the kind of hype that was like built around this game, plus it being an official Supercross. Oh my gosh, man, it just blew it like so far out of proportion. And I mean, at the end of the day, is it a fun arcade motocross game? Yeah, it's fun. I mean, there ain't nothing wrong with saying that the game's fun, but it's just not... It's not the level of some motocross games. It's just not that. So that was my whole point from the very beginning. It just wasn't going to be on that level. But yeah, I mean, have they made improvements from MXGP3? Yeah. Have they made a crazy amount of improvements? Nah, I wouldn't go that far as to say that. But you know, there's some improvements here, and you hope that later on down the video games, you know, they can really start to get better at all that. But I think it's just all depends on what kind of player you are. I mean, that is what it comes down to 1,000%. Are you hardcore? Are you trying to get a very realistic motocross game as far as how the bike feels? If that's the case, this is not really the game. This is a just for fun game when you talk about it like that. You know, if you're trying to become really competitive with motocross games, the way to go is either MX Simulator or the PC version of Reflex. That's where your competitiveness is at, because those games actually have a true skill gap to them. You know, if that's your goal, if you're trying to become like a quote-unquote pro motocross, supercross rider in a video game, MX Simulator is about the only way to go on that at this current point in time. Now, if you're somebody that just wants to chill play a dirt bike game and that's all you're really into, you're not trying to be super competitive with it, then by all means, you know, this may be, especially since there hasn't really been any of these in the recent past. I mean, other than like MXGP3, which wasn't even supercross tracks, you know what I mean? It's been a good little while. So to you, yeah, it's probably worth that money 100%. But I mean, like I was going back to what I was saying, to the average person, it's going to be way more worth it in your eyes than somebody that is more hardcore at it, or somebody that wants a lot of content bang for their buck. Like, you're going to get way more track content, way more customization content in MX Simulator and the PC version of Reflex. Like I've said before, it's all user-created content, so you're going to get way more in that sense. You're going to get way more longevity out of how long the game actually lasts. It's not just a for fun, play it for a couple months and then everyone's kind of on something else. That's not how MX Simulator and PC version of Reflex is. Them games have lasted years and years and years, and in some cases decades on some of those games. So I do not think this is on the level of that whatsoever. This game will not last a decade. It's not going to do it, dog. They will have came out with a Nationals something, or they would have came out with Monster Energy Supercross 2, or you know what I mean? It's going to go through the games. This exact particular game itself will not last like those gods of motocross games out there. It's not going to do it. It's just an average arcade motocross game, in my opinion. Certain aspects of it that are really good, like the graphics and the fact that you do actually get to go through the championship type scenarios and stuff like that. And there's also a lot of downsides to the game as well. Shitload of bugs, shitload of lag especially on consoles, which is where the majority of people play this game. It's got a lot of problems on that side of it. I mean, there's obviously still physics side problems with a lot of your typical milestone physics problems. Have they made improvements to it? Yes. Does it still have problems? Yes. You understand how people, like, you say one little thing and then they take it as you just saying the whole damn thing is absolutely terrible and should have never been a thing, or should never have existed, or it's the worst motocross game ever, or you know what I mean? Like, that's how idiots try to portray things on the internet. They portray it as way more than what you're saying that it is. So either way, in my opinion, like I said, if you only have $60 to spend on motocross games and you don't have MX Simulator and the Reflex version of PC, that is way more worth it than coming in here and buying this game. But if you already have those games, or you've got more money to spend, money doesn't mean as much to you, then you might want to throw some money down for this game. Just for the fact that it's another motocross game, right? An official Monster Energy Supercross game. If you're really into that sort of thought in your head, like you want to be, Ryan Dungey in a Supercross game or whatever, then yeah, and have Ralph Shaheen talk to you, then yeah, it's going to be more of your thing. But the more hardcore fans of motocross games, a lot of that little stuff is not as important. It's just not. Like, it's not as important to them as it would be to your just average Joe dude that watches Supercross on TV and just thought to pick up this game for his kid, or, whatever. It's not as important to your hardcore, legit, like, deep into it motocross gaming fans. It's just not like that. So either way, I appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Shout out to SquidSquadSTL.com. Later, dudes.